Okay, Rose, you ready?
Yeah.
Got your bucket, got your spade, got your body board. Right, okay. I think it's nearly the summer holidays. Should we go to the beach?
Yeah. Let's go to Brinton.
Good morning. You've caught us getting ready, getting excited, because in a normal world, today is the day we would break up for our summer holidays. So we're getting really excited. Rose has got her body board out. We've got buckets, we've got spades. Maybe we'll go to the beach, or maybe we'll get ready for a little bit of maths and remind you about next week. Our summer specials are coming up 3 times a week. Remember, 10 o'clock, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The first few have been recorded because I've got a few family commitments, but they're all there and they're all scheduled to go out at 10 o'clock. So I'm really excited about that because it's the first time I've used that Premiere system on YouTube, but it looks like it should all work absolutely fine. And then when I'm back, we can engage a little bit more with the shout outs and the live chats and all the rest of it. So I can't quite believe that I'm saying this. For the last normal lesson, before we move on to our summer specials, we've done 18 lessons and it's been amazing. I've absolutely loved it. So what am I going to tell you? You need, have I still got them? Have my kids rummaged around and helped themselves? 2 pens, preferably a different colour for marking. Woo. You need a ruler so you can set out your work nice and neatly. A notebook if you've got one, so you can keep all your work nice and neatly again in your notebook. We don't need one of these. Don't need a calculator. Definitely don't need a calculator, because we have we've got it already. The math slave. I want to know who the math slave is. Oh my goodness. Brain. Fantastic. Our big, beautiful, fabulous brains are going to help us through today. So I still can't believe it. I can't believe that this is technically the last day of the year. You guys are all going to be coming back to school in September. You'll have grown over the summer and you'll be coming back into new year groups. Right, I suppose we better get started. Let's have a look at yesterday's review questions. Now, don't forget, if you didn't do them yesterday and you're watching this on catch up, now is your chance to pause and have a go at the questions. For the rest of you, let's take a look at the answers. So we introduced triangular numbers yesterday, and we drew some triangles on the board to represent them. And we talked about how the sequence goes up. You add 2, then you add 3, then you add 4, add 5, add 6. To get from 21 to 28, we're adding 7. 28 plus 8 gives us 36, and 36 plus 9 gives us 45. So those are our triangular numbers. Question 2. We talked about making maths easy. That looks like a really difficult sum when I look at it to start with, a difficult calculation. But if I look at it again and I think, well, I know that 2.5 multiplied by 4 is 10, then suddenly I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. I can multiply by 10. I'm moving my place value once to the left. That gives me 896.7. Okay, a question on the bracelets with the blue beads and the yellow beads. The question here is, how many blue beads does Layla need? So the 27 is a little bit of what we call a red herring. We don't need that information. It's just popped in there to see if anyone's going to use it, but we don't need to use it. We can just cross it out. The important thing we need is that there's 23 blue beads in each bracelet, and we're making 43 of them. So 23 multiplied by 43 gives us 989. And finally, we talked about alternate angles. And we talked about how my friend, fellow teacher, Mrs. Dow, calls them zulternate because of that Z. It makes this shape Z. Can you see this Z has been stretched out? Yeah, so it's a little bit different to a normal Z, but it is still a Z. And it means that B is also 140 degrees in our angle rule. We can't say Z rule. We say because alternate angles are equal. Right, so that's our review. Let's have a look and see if we've got some shout outs. Right, I'm going to go all the way to the top and then I've got some written down as well. I have Aliha, good morning to Aliha. Ishani, good morning, Ishani. And who else? There's lots of people here now who are using different names, so I don't know who you all are. Amy, good morning to Amy Solaria. Who else have I got on the chat? I've got some more over here that I made a note of earlier. Good morning to Josie in Liverpool. Good morning to Izzy in Richmond. Good morning to Adam in Dagenham. To Ishani, I've already said good morning to you, but you are in just outside Sheffield. To Ibrahim, who is also in Dagenham. Matada, who is also in Dagenham. And I've got Chloe and Isla, Maria, Louisa. Oh, and I've got my own Rose. Rose, hello, Rose. Okay, right. Should we do some maths? Let's bring up those first 30 questions. Let's go. Okay, you got about 20 seconds. Part 2 coming up. 30 seconds. And part 3. Thirty seconds to go. Okay. Are we ready for some answers? Remember, different colour pen for marking. Total up your scores as you go along, and when you've finished, it will be out of 30. Pop your score in the live chat. Right, we have 1/4 of, can you see that? 1/4 of 224 is 56. Question 2 is 39. Question 3 is 55. Question 4 is 50. Question 5 is 54. Question 6 is 52. Question 7 is 42.09, but we are rounding to the nearest whole number, so it gives us 42. And question 8 is 69.02, again rounded to the nearest whole number is 69. And our parents versus kids challenge. Angle B is 74 degrees. There are 2 ways of saying that. Well, it's actually, I think there's 3. We could say that co-interior angles sum to 180 degrees, if you know that, and I'll explain that on the board. And I'll go through the other 2 ways on the board as well. It'll be a little bit easier then. Right, part 2. Okay. Question 1 is 63. Question 2 is 65.11. We're rounding to the nearest whole number, so it's 65. Question 3 is 83. Question 4, 79. Question 5, 94. Question 6 is 35 over 100, or we can simplify it down to 7/20. Question 7 is 5/7. Question 8 is 89. And our prime numbers, there are 5 prime numbers between 25 and 45. I would write out all the odd numbers and then cross out the ones that are not prime. And I get 29, 31, 37, 41, and 45. Part 3. Question 1 is 71. Question 2 is 87. Question 3, again, look at it, make it as easy as possible. It's basically 10 multiplied by 10 and then subtract 2. Question 4 is 97. Question 5 is 73. Question 6 is also 73. Question 7 is 76. Question 8 is yes. And our final grown-ups versus kids challenge, the answer is 64. Okay, so if you could total up your scores, put your marks in the chat whilst we do our final. Let's hope we've got enough numbers to finish it off. Our final beat the clock before we move on to our summer specials. Right, so you're going to help me, Rose? Rose is coming over to help. Right.
I'm here.
Right, okay, you ready?
Question 1 is 56.
Right, 56. We've got loads to cover up, so let's...
39.
39 is question... Is that question 2?
Yeah, that's question 2. Question 3 is 55.
Question 3 is 55.
Done that.
50.
I don't have them.
Okay.
54.
54.
And 52.
And 52 is the answer to question 6.
42 is the answer to question 7. 69 is the answer to question 8.
Yep.
And parents versus kids is 74.
Oh, 74.
Oh, have we done 64? No, when we do 64, can I say 64, 64, 64, 64?
I don't know. I think you've already said it, but I suppose you can say it again. Right, part 2.
Okay, only 64. 63 there.
Okay.
65 there.
Very good.
83.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to run out of stickers if I'm not careful. Keep going.
79.
79. Which question was that?
Question 4.
That's the answer
No,
to question
5. 35 out of 100.
Hold on, 94 is the answer to question 5.
35.
What was it? 94. 35 out of 100. Yeah, got 35. Keep going.
What about 7?
Yep, done.
5.
Done.
89.
Right,
29,
89.
31.
Oh my goodness,
37.
hold on. Right, we've got all those prime numbers now. So 29.
Okay, 29.
Right, have we got 29?
We've got 29.
Yeah.
31.
31, yeah.
37.
37, yep.
37.
Fantastic.
41.
41, yeah. Nearly done.
43.
Amazing. Look, all those prime numbers covered up.
And
wow.
now we only need 64, 64, 64 lane.
Okay, come on then. Let's go. So, part 3, question 1 was 71.
87.
Done. Oh, no. Here. Yeah.
98.
That was the answer to question 3 on part 3.
97.
Is the answer to question 4 on part 3.
76.
Was the answer to question 7 on. So which one? 76.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 73.
73.
Question 6 and 5.
Okay, cool.
And you know what I'm gonna say.
Oops. Oh
64, 64, 64 Lane.
Okay.
TV show.
Right, okay.
Do you know the
Wasn't
TV
expecting
show?
to be sung to today, but there you
Do
go.
you know the
Right,
TV show?
I do. Right, let's get those scores in so I can see how you guys are doing. And then we will put some things up on the board. Let's have a look. So, wow. Oh, my goodness. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, Rose, you've done it. Okay. Not quite sure what you've done there. I think you've added them up. Maybe we need to do a little bit of work on addition.
No,
Okay.
wow.
So 12 for mini maths. Hungry Buddha, Ishani got 10. And 15 out of 30. I think that's Matada. Aliha, 30. Amazing. Aliha, you're going to love the lessons I've set up for the summer challenge because they're getting a little bit harder. Okay, I've got 26 out of 30 and 11 out of 30 and 29 out of 30 from Cripps. And someone claims to have 97. I'm not sure about that. Okay. And finally, 15 out of 30 for First Steps Dancing from Home. I always forget your name and I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. Chloe. Okay. Brilliant. Right. Let's get going. Right. Angle rules are the first ones that we're going to look at. Let's bring the board over a little bit. Make sure you can see it. So that funny angle rule one, let's take a look at that. Angle rules. Now remember I said yesterday when we did this that we need to make sure when we draw it that you know that those lines are parallel. And the way we do that is by putting 2 arrows there to show that they are parallel lines. Okay, let's look at the question. We've got an A here and a B here. Now we're given A. We're told that A is 106 degrees. We want to find B. Now what I said to you just quickly when we were going through the answers is that you can use a rule. I don't tend to teach this one very often because it can be confusing. I'm going to show you anyway. Okay, and look, can you see there? I've created a shape. Now, I know that co-interior angles sum to 180 degrees. So because I know that, I can now say that 180 subtract 106 gives me 74 degrees. So B is therefore 74 degrees. Okay. All right. But let me just see if we can have a look at why those co-interior angles sum to 180. So here are my geostrips and let's look at what happens. Can you see you've got the 2 red lines are parallel and at the moment my blue line is vertical. So I've created 2 90-degree angles. And then watch what happens. As the angle at the top gets smaller, the angle at the bottom gets bigger by exactly the same amount. Can you see that? As long as I keep my red lines parallel. So I've got 2 90 degrees at the start. They add up to 180. 180. So as the one on the top gets smaller, the one on the bottom gets bigger by exactly the same amount, and therefore they will always sum to 180. But people do find that quite hard. So I always say, gosh, that's another rule to try and remember. And if we're not quite sure, we can actually use the rules that we have already learned. We know, for example, if I can use a different color, if this will come up. Remember, we talked yesterday about alternate angles, our Z rule. There's my Z. Can you see the green? Just about. Okay. So this angle B and this angle here is therefore also B. Okay. And now look what I've created here. Whoops. Can you see that I've got angles on a straight line there? In fact, if that's not really, really clear, I could just draw it on its own here. That's A, that's B. Angles on a straight line sum to 180. So therefore, if A is 106 degrees, B must be 74 degrees. So you're stating two angle rules for this second way of doing it, but sometimes that's a bit easier for us to get our head round. Okay, so I'll leave you that one to ponder. Let's move on to a quick percentage to fraction conversion. So let me just clear the board quickly. All right, so percentage to fraction conversion. Okay. Now, on my summer special lessons that I've been recording, I've been doing this whilst you're working, so they're a little bit more efficient. You don't have to wait for me to keep clearing the board. So we had 35%. We want to express it as a fraction. Remember that word percent. Percent means, go on, Rose.
Every 100.
Yeah, it means out of 100. Okay, so it's 35 out of 100. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. You'd get the mark for that. It doesn't ask you to simplify it, but if you want to go on and simplify it, you need to look at a factor that is common to both the numerator and the denominator. And you can see that both of these numbers are in what? In what times tables? They're both in the 5 times tables. Well done. So therefore, I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 5. That's going to give me 7 as my numerator and 20 as my denominator. All good. Right, okay. Part C, I was going to just look at those prime numbers. Right, this was, let's have a look. This was the last question in part 2. Now, there's a really nice activity I can do with you, but I've never attempted it outside the classroom because you need to have that 10 by 10 grid drawn up. So I might try and do it as a summer challenge. We'll see. So the question was to find the prime numbers between 25 and 45. So what I said when I was quickly going through the answers is I would write down, takes a bit of time, but I want to make sure I don't miss any. Now, you were told that there were 5, so that does help you. But you won't always be told that, and you'll have to work out how many there actually are. Now, I didn't need to write them all down because I know that if a number ends in a 5, it's in the 5 times table. So I probably could have just ignored those. But for completeness, I wanted to make sure we weren't missing any out. So I'm going to cross those out. Any that are in the 5 times table, I'm going to cross out. I haven't even written any of the even numbers because I know there's only one even number that is prime, and that is 2. Okay, so now I'm going to just look across and think about any other times tables I need to consider. Well, we've talked about 2. There aren't any even numbers there.
3 times table.
Brilliant. Let's try the 3 times table. Okay, now you might recall I told you a trick that if you add 2 numbers, well, okay, you're going to know that 9 multiplied by 3 is 27. I get that. But remember, it's always nice to have a little trick up your sleeve as well. If I add these 2 numbers together, 2 plus 7 gives us 9. 9 is in the 3 times table, therefore 27 is in the 3 times table. So I could have given you a number this big. Yeah, 272,727. And I could tell you straight away that that number is in the 3 times table because if I add all those numbers together, I am going to get a multiple of 3. Okay. So we're going to get rid of that. Any other ones? Which, okay, brilliant.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, very good.
1, 2, oh, we've already crossed.
Okay, so there you go, see? So hopefully that makes sense. We've got rid of the ones in the 3 times table.
Well,
we don't need to worry about the 4 times table, do we?
6
Because
times table.
yeah, but again, 4 times table, 6 times table, I don't need to worry about those because I know these numbers aren't in the 2 times table.
Of the 6 times table, you've already done the 3 times table. So anything in the 6 times table will be in the 3 times table.
See, she's paying attention today, not just writing smiley faces in the chat. Okay, we've already done the 5 times table. Okay, is there anything else I need to do? I suppose I could check the 7 times table. Now, I do know that none of those numbers can be in the 7 times table because we haven't gone up as high as 49, and 49 is the square of 7. 7 squared is 49. But we could just check it just to be sure. No, none of those numbers are in the 7 times table.
35, but you've already crossed 35 off.
And there are your 5 prime numbers. Right, let's see. We've got 2 more to go. Right. Remember I talked about this yesterday as well. Make maths easy. I did mention this one briefly when I was doing the answers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really important to try and pick out some tricks that are going to help you. I'm just looking, I've got some numbers coming in there. Okay, so remember I said this one, 5 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 2, and then we're going to subtract 2. You don't have to do this, but I look at that and I see that as 10 multiplied by 10, and then I subtract the 2. So it just means I can do that really easily in my head. The other one I wanted to mention, this was part 3, questions 5 and 6. You may recall, you might have written down the questions as well as the answers, which would be fantastic if you had time to do that. This was a little bit of a test to see if any of you noticed. Pop in the chat now. Pop in the chat if you know that these 2, can you move please, Rose? That these 2 are the same. Pop in the chat if you know that these 2 are the same. Okay? If we divide by 2, 146 divided by 2, I can also write this as 146 multiplied by 1/2. I put that over 1 to make sure I don't make any mistakes. 1. Yeah, so remember, when you divide by a number, it is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. Okay, fantastic. And thank you for your comments on that. We have 1 more to go. Okay, it's that parent versus kids challenge. It's an algebra substitution question. Okay, and we are given information. We are told that B equals 8. We are told that C equals 2. And we have 2B over C, and all of it is squared. Okay, we want to substitute our letters with the numbers we have been given. So we have 2 lots of B, so 2 multiplied by B. We're dividing by 2. Then we're going to square the whole amount. But remember, we do what's inside the brackets first. So I've got 16 over 2. I know that that is 8. And that gives me
64.
My final answer of 64. I wasn't. Yeah, we know. Thank you. Okay, so before I put up the review questions, firstly, just the biggest thank you, because I've loved doing this. It's been wonderful. It is not quite the same as being in the classroom, but it is certainly the next best thing. And now, just to remind you, sorry, Rose, that just to remind you that the summer specials are coming up Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, starting at 10 o'clock. She's trying to work out if she can get back on the picture, but no, she can't. See, I can keep covering her up. Just keep covering her up. Okay, so thank you. And if you do get to, like Rose thinks, we're going to be going to the beach this holiday. If you do manage to get to the beach, just remember, and we'll do some more of these over the summer as well. Just remember, when you see seashells, you're not going to think seashells anymore. You're going to think, ooh,
mathematics.
Fibonacci sequence. When you get your little bucket out and you start building sandcastles, you might start thinking about volume or surface area or something like that. We'll have a look at that over the summer as well. So thank you. Please continue to like, subscribe, share, all that stuff that you guys do. And please do have a safe and fabulous summer break. But please also come and join me 3 times a week. All right. Take care. And hopefully see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hold on.
No, review questions.
Oh, yeah. So, right. Review questions. But because obviously we're moving on to our summer specials, I am going to put the answers up in a moment. So let's just give you these to start with. I'm getting distracted, aren't I? I'm getting excited about my holidays.
Woo!
Right, I'm going to reveal the answers now. So pause it if you want to do the questions before you see the answers. And farewell. See you next week, hopefully. Bye-bye.
Wait, Mummy, I want to see them. Hopefully next time you'll see the doggy.